This is the final installment of our IPL MVP series. You can find 1 and 2 in the links below or on my channel or however you find things. But let us now get to the death overs of the IPL, the last few seasons. (2018). Among the batters, the 21-year-old Rishabh Pant had an exceptional year. He had the 4th best true strike rate among the batters with over 300 runs that year. That he did all of it from the middle order is even more impressive. His numbers were almost identical to AB de Villiers, which in any walk of life is always a good thing. KL Rahul peaked in that same year, performing very well on both of our metrics. Buttler was in the same cluster as him, and Russell and Narine overperform heavily on true strike rate, one as a pinch-hitting opener, the other as a middle-order destroyer. But have a look at MS Dhoni here. He has an insanely high true average, but he scores only 3 runs more per 100 balls than the average player in the IPL. And it may sound strange for someone in a finishing role, but it actually makes a lot of sense with the way he plays. He essentially knocks the ball around at a run a ball in the middle overs, and then scores at 2 runs a ball in the death. And he never gets out doing either of those things. Jasprit Bumrah and Rashid Khan were yet again the most difficult bowlers to take down. They also backed it up with above average numbers when it comes to true wickets as well. And Mujib had a brilliant all-round season, joining his fellow Afghanistani teammate. Umesh Yadav was the best bowler on true wickets that year. His impactful spells in the power play were very handy for the challengers. But maybe the most interesting is Andrew Tye, who was probably also the most impactful bowler overall. He was the 2nd best wicket-taking bowler and 2nd least expensive bowler on our metrics. And some of this was because he had a very good Yorker, and he's quite tall and strong. But most of it was because he was the first bowler to truly perfect and export the knuckleball into the IPL. Essentially, Andrew Tye went from being a club player to one of the most impactful bowlers in the IPL over just a couple of years because of one delivery. And he's a big reason why every bowler in the world has tried a knuckleball at least once in the nets. In 2019, you've got a cluster of batters who have a true strike rate of over 20. De Villiers, Gale, Pant, Bairstow and Hardik. It's quite interesting that their roles are all very, very different. So when you look at the raw numbers, they would never be in the same area. But we could see through this just how valuable they all were. MS Dhoni's performance looks quite similar to last year, except this time he's scoring at 0.06 runs per over less than the average player. It is hard to judge him on this, given that he played his home games at Chepauk and he won matches for CSK from difficult scenarios throughout that campaign. But this was Dre Russ's year. He elevated his game to just a complete other level, scoring over 500 runs at a rate that no one has really come close to before or since. He might have a genuine case for the greatest individual season as a batter, certainly as a middle order player. With the bowlers, the South African duo of Rabada and Tahir dropped incredible seasons. Not only did they take a lot of wickets, but they did it while keeping the opponent batters in check. Both campaigns deserve a lot more respect than they currently get. Rashid Khan, Ravi Jadeja and Rahul Chahar were the best spinners when it came to true economy. But there are some other very good seasons from domestic bowlers as well. Gopal, Deepak Chahar and Khalil Ahmed. But Bumrah and Archer were supreme in terms of economy, conceding 2 runs and over less than the average bowler, while bowling predominantly in the power play and death. They were just pretty good. In fact, I think they're both still pretty good. 2020, the season of COVID or around COVID or however you look at that, Mayank, Pooran and Samson all scored at 1.8 runs per over better than the other batters. And there was another common factor between them all. They were elite spin hitters on pitches that were very conducive for them. Samson's negative true average was a sign of concern, especially as he dipped a lot after the first few games. There is a noticeable trend here though. A few of the then Indian regulars had a terrible season. Pant, Kohli, Rohit, Iyer and Pandey. Even KL's true strike rate took a significant hit from the previous years. Shikhar Dhawan was the best Indian top order bat. In fact, I made an entire video about how well he had done in that season. Sky and Kishan had their breakthrough seasons with Mumbai Indians, resulting in a T20 international cap for both of them. The overseas top order bats, Butler, QDK, Warner, Faf and De Villiers all had above average seasons, but it is tough to determine if any of those players had an outright MVP level year. But Jasprit Bumrah has to be the standout bowler of the season, delivering one of the greatest ever T20 performances by a fast bowler in this tournament. He was 2nd on true wickets and 3rd on true economy in the same season. And usually when we see a player like that, it might be Sohail Tanvir before we really know what IPL cricket's about, or it might be Andrew Tye because he's delivered a new ball. Everyone knew who Jasprit Bumrah was. He's that good. But Jofra Archer was also really good and certainly propped up the Royals. Rabada did what he does best, and he took a lot of wickets. Rashid Khan dropped yet another masterclass in spin bowling. Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar, and Chakravarti did very well in their specific roles. In 2021, much like the last season, there does not seem to be players who had MVP level seasons when compared to some of the previous IPL editions. Faf and Gaikwad were instrumental in CSK's 4th title. Maxwell and de Villiers carried the RCB batting in their respective middle and death over roles. KL and Mayank did the bulk of the hard work for Punjab. But Rahul's slow starts ended up backfiring on a lot of occasions. And it's certainly worth mentioning the king of fours, Prithvi Shaw. In the bowling, Harshal Patel was the actual player of the tournament in 2021, and he was unmatched in terms of true wickets. Although he did get a lot of victims in the death overs, he was still way superior to the average bowler, while also having a very good economy rate. Narayan Chakravarti, Bishnoi, Akshar, and Rashid Khan were basically in the same tier. Chahal was the most attacking spin bowler, and amongst the pacers, Avesh Khan was a standout bowler, which is incredible, as every year since then he's been like 20% worse. And yet, I still believe. Bumrah and Shami were elite, and it says a lot that we have only just found Shami for the first time. The last couple of years has been a whole new world for him. Siraj was very good defensively, but did not take enough wickets. And finally, we make our way to 2022. Josh Buttler had a very similar season to Warne and Kohli in 2016. He was the top order bat who got the big runs at a high strike rate. Rajat Patidar played half the season but was extremely impactful when he did, leading RCB to their first eliminator win in the last 3 years. Dinesh Karthik absolutely cooked in the finisher role for RCB, a refreshing change from the last 2 seasons at KKR, where he was kind of moved around a little bit more. They found a job for him, and he was good at it. He's clearly one of the best pace hitters in India, and it ended up with a national team call-up. It's been a while since we've called David Miller's name. And this is almost like a different kind of David Miller. It was almost more like peak MS Dhoni. But when matching his own power late by just not going as hard early on, it meant that he became a much better player in this year. Without many people noticing, Liam Livingstone dropped one of the all-time middle order batting seasons. And in his first full year, he deserves a lot more hype for these numbers. He was incredibly consistent at playing high-impact knocks. Of course, if you do all that for Punjab, no one cares. Sunil Narayan had an excellent season in terms of economy, but he just didn't pick up as many wickets as the team needed from him. In fact, he was the best bowler on true economy, but the second worst on true wickets, which is a remarkable record. Rashid Khan had a very impressive season too. Krunal Pandya continued to be a brilliant defensive option. Chahal and Hasaranga were among the top wicket takers of the season, and also amongst our highest true wicket takers. Harshal Patel and Jasprit Bumrah were the standout defensive pacers, given they bowled most of their overs at the death as well. But Umran Malik was used as a middle overs enforcer, and he took a bucket load of wickets, but was a tad expensive. What is interesting is, as good as the years of Livingstone and Narayan were, there is not as many obvious MVP level seasons in the last couple of years of the IPL. The performances have just become a little bit flatter, and at the same time, maybe the league has as well. This could just be a coincidence, of course, but it is something worth looking at into the future. We'll actually be doing more with all this research coming up as well, but please like, subscribe, and we'll be looking at the MVP of this particular season. So if you've got an idea who that should be, hit us up in the comments below.